My name is James Williams Jr. This is Kung Fu Havoc number 2. And I want to talk to you people about a bunch of stuff. But more importantly, I want to talk about what's going on in the government as we speak right now with the guy testifying against the red-headed troll in charge. Okay, so for years, months, weeks, minutes, seconds, he has mentioned how he has covered up the fact that Mr. President is a racist. Let's stop right there. Because this is where I have been kicking this dirt ball for since the day he got in. Now, before this, I will be honest, I had no qualms against Mr. Trump. I did not vote for him. I would not vote for him. And God help me, I damn sure don't want to work for him. Unless he's so far up the food chain that I don't know it. Now, a young black lady showed up on the court. And he testified that she's protecting him, and she said that she would never work for a racist because she's working in her parents or whatever was born in Birmingham, Alabama. You guys can Google all that shit, fact check it. Here's the thing, all right? To be honest and to be fair with everyone in the United States, when you leave your place of employment, when your boss leaves their place of employment, you have no idea what their life is beyond your place of employment. That is, of course, unless you live in the same building, or you live next door, or your employer is your father or some shit like that. You know, otherwise you have no idea if you work for a racist or not. And there's a reason for that. It's called professional courtesy. Alright? Now let me explain professional courtesy before I get back on the racist kick. Alright? Professional courtesy is a courtesy. It is a courtesy that is given to people of all ethnic backgrounds so that everything on the job can flow over smoothly. Now, how you feel after work is a whole nother ballgame. If you go home and you're like, God, I hate white people, or God, I hate black people, or God, I hate Asian people, I'm sorry, you are a racist. Now, if you go home and say, damn, man, I can't believe that bastard did that. And it's like, what bastard? Oh, it's Wang Chong, man. He's like totally fucking up shit and now I have to pay for it. But your wife very well may be Chinese. And she'd be like, those damn Asians. You know, and sometimes that's jokingly, but sometimes that's still a racist ass statement. So, you know, you may not know what happens behind closed doors at your employer's house. And there are a lot of bosses, and it doesn't matter what state they're in, they may secretly be racist and you just don't know it. And professional courtesy rule is really simple. You can be a racist at home. You don't have to be a racist on the job because you have to hire minorities. It helps you with taxes. And sometimes those minorities that you hire are pretty damn smart. It can help you through all kinds of other economic problems in your job. So as a professional courtesy, most people who are secretly racist aren't racist on the job. And if they don't invite you to dinner, it's just because maybe they just don't want to invite you to dinner because they don't want you to know that at home they use the word nigger or they use the word chink or they use the word half-breed or they use the word honky religiously. And how they go at home and how they raise their children is how I managed to punch a girl in the mouth in the 3rd grade for calling me a nigger. Alright? Now, I brought that up for a reason. I'll bring that back around in a minute. When I leave my job, I go to a home with multifaceted people of different skin tones. Alright, if you guys have been watching my channel for however long it's been up, you know that I am multicultural. You know that I'm Cherokee Indian, you know that I'm black, and you know that I'm white. Now, which ones do I identify mostly with? I was raised in a black household. But I feel more Cherokee than I do black sometimes, which is why I don't like being called nigger. And I don't like being called chief. I really don't like being called chief. Anyone who knows me knows why I worked at Kegler's. A dude called me chief for the entire tour that I worked there. That being said, that's out the way. I'm bringing it back around because when I punched a girl in the mouth in the 3rd grade and we went to the office, and the principal at that time at that school told me, you know, I'd never been in trouble before until that day. And he kept nagging me. He's like, why did you do it, James? You've never, ever been in physical trouble. You've never been in a fight in school before until that day, and you hit a girl. Of all people to hit, you hit a girl, a white girl, in the mouth. Why? And it took him at least 15 to 20 minutes to coax out the word that I was not taught to use at home. We never used the word nigger at home. Never. And I knew it was bad. And the very next week, I got an ass whooping at home because I called my uncle a nigger. But he didn't know what had happened in school, so that's fine. But I told the teacher, I said, well, she called me a nigger, and before I knew what happened, my hand was coming back to my side. It happened just that quick. It was like reflex, like lightning quick. Boom, I hit her dead in the mouth. There was blood on my knuckles, and she was crying. I did apologize to the girl when we got into the office, but they separated us, and our parents had to come and get us to school. And the principal told her parents, because her parents only got to see my mom. They never saw my dad, so they assumed that I was a white kid. But because they saw me coming in, it's like, oh, that's the kid that hit my daughter, huh? Okay. So then when they seen my mom and they thought she was white, so it's like, okay, well, your half-breed child shouldn't go around hitting our daughter in the mouth. And then the principal said, well, your daughter shouldn't be going around calling people niggers in school. So I don't know how you raise your child at home, but if you want your child to keep her teeth, the best thing she can do is keep that racial shit at home. If you want to be out in public and you want to call people niggers and shit, you need to be prepared for the ass whooping that cometh. So I didn't get in any trouble for that. Once the principal coaxed it out of me that the girl called me a nigger, he was Italian, so he was like a little bit lighter than me, but he was pretty dark. Cause some Italians, they carry color very well. They're not black, but they're brown. So he's like, look, I'm from New York and I'm Italian. I deal with people of color all the time. And I have been caught one of those before too. And I really don't think that her son was in the wrong for doing that. But you, on the other hand, if you want your daughter to have a productive life, she better learn how to get along with color people. And using the word nigger is not the best idea that you are teaching her. And so then my mom was like, well, I don't use that in my house. We know what it means. We know how many people of color have died because of that word. We know how many people have been lynched. And we don't use that word in our house. We don't have a problem being called black. We do have a problem being called nigger by people who are not black. I personally, as I've grown up, I had a problem being called nigger, period. And then I started being called chief, which was twice as bad. But anyway, moving forward, when I go to work, I work with diversity. There are people of non-color and people of color where I work. We don't use the word nigger on the job. You know, we all speak to each other politely. We all know each other. I've been there going on like 11 or 12 years or maybe more, whenever '06 was. I've been there for a long time. You know, it's a non-profit. I have another job, sort of. I clean toilets, so I'll take whatever I can get. And that word's not used there at all because I'm the only one there. But the fact of the matter is, when you go home and you're you. When your boss goes home and they're them, they no longer need to use the professional courtesy rule because they're at home. And if they want to be racist at home, then they're going to be racist at home, and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, moving on back around to where I started with the testimony of all this, and the guy talking to the black girl and telling her that she's protecting Donald Trump because he's a racist, blah, blah, blah. When I first heard Trump was going for the leadership of the free world, and I'll be the first to admit there was no way in hell that I ever would have believed that he was going to win. Because I voted for Hillary, and I was like, there's no way this fucker's going to win. When I went to sleep, Hillary was in the lead, and when I woke up, the red-headed troll was the president. So, when I watched some things about him, and Standing Rock was an issue, and he said, and we got it on camera, I have no ties to Standing Rock. I'm not going to touch Standing Rock. When I get in the office, Standing Rock's going to be fine. Blah, 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 blah. First lie. First day. The people come in from Standing Rock. He signs the executive order to undo the executive order that the sitting president going out, Barack Obama, has signed to protect Standing Rock. He undid it. that very first day in office, right then and there, I said, he don't like Native Americans. And since I'm mixed, that means he won't like me. And then I went back into some videos from 1993 about casinos and Native Americans, and they don't like Native Americans to me. I've posted them up here. This guy, yesterday, just confirmed everything I said about him being a racist. I posted videos to prove that he was a racist. Nobody responded. Yeah, it's all good. I don't care. I don't give a damn if you voted for him or not. I don't give a damn if you're watching this and you're a racist. You have that right to do that. I don't have that right. Okay? I don't have the right to be a racist because I am mixed with all three of the primary races in America today. Black, white, and Native American. Alright? So I'm mixed with all that shit. So I don't have the right to be a racist. I don't have the right to run around and call people nigger. I don't have the right to run around and call people honkies. I don't have the right to run around and call people chinks, spics, gooks, and every other Asian name that you can come up with, because at the base of all of it, Native Americans are actually Asian. So I didn't win that fight. That one has been proven to me over 20,000 times, so I'm going to go ahead and put it on out there. It's in encyclopedias, it's in almanacs, it's in everything. Native Americans initially came from Asia, through Siberia, through the land bridge, and then they splintered off. Some stayed in Inuit, became Eskimos. The others went other places. Eskimo tribes also went to the North Pole and to Greenland or Iceland or whatever one's at the top. Anyway, after learning that fact, so being part Native American, I started looking more into my culture, because my great-grandmother used to tell me stories because I was the only grandchild that was there. The other grandchildren were doing black things while I'm sitting at her feet, learning stories about our tribal heritage. Clearly I didn't learn enough, but at the same time, you know, I got a lot of more stuff that I have to go through. I have to go find a DNA test. I have to submit my application to be recognized as a Native American, and this shit's a buttload of stuff, so I gotta find money for that. But like I said, when you go home to your home. You don't know what your boss goes home to. You don't know if your boss is a secret Ku Klux Klan member. You don't know if your boss is a redneck. You don't know if your boss is a racist. You don't know if your boss is a black activist in a white man's body. You don't know that shit. You don't. And here's the thing about that. Professional courtesy gives us all the right to work in a peaceful environment without feeling ostracized about how we really feel. Because I can tell you right now, when a lot of y'all go home, a lot of people who are of color and a lot of people who are not of color, the first thing you say is something racist when you go home, especially if you are a racist. You'll go home like, oh man, Chin Mai, man, I hate that Chinese motherfucker. Or, Luke Jackson, man, that nigger makes me sick. Or, let's see, what's a good white name? That Danny Williams. He is such a cracker. I can't stand him, man. So those were some racial examples of things that a lot of people come home and say. Danny Williams might have been a nice guy and just had a bad day and pissed off the black guy that called him a cracker. Chin Mai might have had a nice day. Maybe he or she, because Chin Mai can be male and female if you know anything about Asian cultures. Chin Mai may have had some gas that funked up the whole room. And whatever the Johnson or Jackson name I just said was, he may have had some gas that fucked up the whole room. You know, maybe Danny Williams had some gas that fucked up the whole room. But the problem is, you know, we all have a professional courtesy, and we all live by this professional courtesy. Whether you want to admit it or not, most people live by this professional courtesy because they like their jobs. They might not like the black people that work there. They may not like the white people that work there. They may not like the Asian people that work there. And it might have a mutual feeling for everyone in the building. But I promise you, you will never know they're a racist because you don't go home with them. You don't. Now let's say Chin Mai and John Jackson wants to go home together and sleep together. Chin Mai's a sexy chick. John Jackson's a big black dude. They go home and have sex. She throws him out. Her Asian family comes in and says, "What are you doing with that Negro? We'd call him a nigger, but he might beat our ass." If the shoes is reversed, you're like, what are you doing with that chinky girl? We'd call her something else, but she might know kung fu and kick our ass. Which goes back to, what if she went home with both of the men? Then they'd call her all kinds of whores and sluts, living up to Asian stereotypes and shit. So you see where that's going. The professional courtesy lets everyone keep their job, and not be racist, but go home and you're gonna be whoever the hell you want. And the thing is, I know so that I point this out. 9 times out of 10, you won't know someone's a racist if they're standing next to you until you find them at some kind of race rally and where they stand. It's just that simple. You don't know your coworkers. You don't know your boss. And if someone is telling you on live TV that you're protecting a racist, you might want to take that shit into consideration. As I said before, I did not have a problem with the red-headed troll in charge until Standing Rock. I'm part Cherokee, and what affects the Sioux tribe will also affect the Cherokee tribe and every other tribe in existence. And if it affects the Cherokee tribe, it affects me because my ancestors are of Cherokee descent. So when it spills out of the reservations into the regular world, when it starts affecting other blacks and other whites, it's still going to affect you. And if it's on a racial level, it's always going to be bad. Henceforth, the professional working courtesy is you are not allowed to be a racist on the job. It'll instantly get you fired. Many people have learned that the hard way. I have never been fired for being a racist. I have been fired because of my race, but that's not what they fired me for on paper. Alright? Now that the place is going out of business, I can go ahead and put it on out there. So when I was younger, I worked at Sears. I technically didn't work at Sears. I was working for ICC. I was contracted by Sears through ICC. And they had a Thanksgiving party. And this is before I knew the real degradation of what Thanksgiving really meant to Native Americans. I didn't know that it was like a horrid thing. I thought it was a very well celebrated Native American holiday until I found out that it wasn't. Alright, so Native American holiday is not for me being Thanksgiving. It used to be my favorite holiday because I could always go back to my roots. And now that I know my roots were stomped in the ground for Thanksgiving, I kind of don't like Thanksgiving anymore. Commercial totally ruined it for me. And those fat commercials with the young black lady telling her family and things about Thanksgiving, and the white kids doing the same thing, and then the Native Americans flipping the table. You get the point. Anyway, I got fired for basically being too Native American. I literally went on the warpath when I got into the job after the Thanksgiving party, and the room was a little bit bigger than my bedroom, and they just did not go get trash. They did not care. There was puke on the floor. There's puke in the trash can. And granted, it was my job to clean that shit, but they could have did a little bit better at making a mess. You know, they could have had some professional courtesy to go get some extra trash bags. Like, we can clean up a little bit. We're all grown. And I had went off. I literally just went slammed the fuck off. And the manager walked in. And then she went at me and I went at her, and she said all kinds of things, and I outwardly called her Amazon bitch and all kinds of other stuff because she's like 6 feet tall. So it was all kinds of crazy. But we had bumped heads before. And I had bumped heads before with other females on the job about cleaning the bathrooms, and it was just really, really bad. So basically I got fired for being a jerk and a Native American. That's pretty much it. I can own that. I was pretty much a jerk, but I can't help my ethnicity. They probably would have fired me if I was white too for being the same asshole that I am. I'll make a second video about professional courtesy.